you're hand loading for the 30-30 and want maximum performance, you're going to want to check out LEVERevolution powder from Hodgdon. Gavin, you here from Ultimate Reloader. I'm back with Guy Miner. Thank you, Guy, for joining us.
You bet. Lever action stuff. I like it.
We've been having so much fun with these powder tested stories this year. So many different cartridges, so many different powders, and recently, as you can see here, sort of the lever bug has bit us, don't you think?
Absolutely. We've had a lot of fun with that stuff this year.
Yeah, this Henry X model has brought many a smile to many a shooter here at Ultimate Reloader, including all of the team members and visitors. In fact, just yesterday, we were shooting subsonic 30-30 out at the Industrial Steel Yard. Just so much fun. But one of the loads that I did recently really impressed me. 160 grain FTX bullets. Really, really good velocity, which we'll get to. Before we get to that, let's talk about LEVERevolution powder. How did this come to be?
Hornady, I believe about 10 years ago, not sure on that, introduced a line of very enhanced 30-30 ammo and other lever action ammo, and it was based around both their flex tip bullet, which is safe to use in a tubular action or tubular magazine lever action, and a better powder that got you more velocity.
In a way, it's kind of like modernizing the 30-30 ammunition.
Very much so.
Better ballistic coefficient, safe, flexible tip, those 160 grain FTX bullets. I think that's going to probably be one of our next ballistics gel experiments, because I know you're interested in using that for your doe tag that you just drew. Is that correct?
Yes, absolutely. I've got that doe tag for this coming season, and I can't think of a better thing to use than my 30-30.
That sounds like a solid plan to me. So we got ourselves some LEVERevolution powder. We've both been using it. Really, really good results. It also is a spherical powder, and that means it's going to measure really well from a rotating drum, powder measure, or similar on a progressive press, which I showed in my 160 FTX overview video using the Hornady Lock and Load AP. Really, really good stuff.
Yeah, it worked great at home on my single stage, and using that drum type powder measure worked perfectly, just flowed right through there.
Very good stuff. Okay, so let's talk burn rate. The burn rate is going to be right in there with some of our favorite 308 powders.
Right, 308 and 223 powders.
Yep.
Things like RL15 and Varget are near the same burn rate as LEVERevolution.
CFE 223.
Yes.
Which I've been using a lot, especially on progressives for 223 and for 308 and similar. So you can see here it falls at 113 on this particular iteration of the burn rate chart. As you go down the chart and the numbers increase, those powders are getting slower and slower. So H380, a great 22-250 powder, right? Right next to it on the burn rate chart.
I've used H380 in the 308 a long time ago for some match loads. It did very well.
Very, very good stuff. So that's where it's going to fall. And Guy took a look at some of the load data that's available, and it's not just a 30-30 powder, right? We've got a few here. I think there was 5 or 6 cartridges that you had data for.
These were some of the more popular ones, although 25-35 I kind of included in there just because it's cool. I don't own one, but I think it's really neat that the 25-35 is still hanging around, and if you're, it's still supposedly still in production. Everything's hard to get these days.
Sure.
But little bullet, 117 grainer, and they've got it moving at 2,300 feet per second. That sounds like deer medicine to me.
Definitely. And then we have a 30-30 load with a 140 solid copper bullet. Max load gives you 24-36. That's cooking for that kind of a recipe.
It is, and that could be very useful not only for places where you have to have a unleaded bullet, but also if you're looking for that penetration that an all copper bullet gives you, because they tend to do really good in the penetration department.
Oh yeah, if you want to go deep,
the
copper bullet is a great way to go. And then we've got the 35 Remington with a 200 grain bullet, 45 grains of LEVERevolution at 22-35. A 200 going 22-35. That's some good punch there.
It is. I know a lot of you lever gun guys out there revere the 35 Remington, and why not? It does a fine job.
Yeah. So what I did to show, the claim here is that LEVERevolution is going to get you approximately a couple hundred feet per second, better velocity with a median grain weight bullet with the 30-30. So what I did is I took the load data from Hodgdon's Reloading Data Center, and I picked one bullet, the 160 grain FTX, and I looked at different powders and what kind of velocities those are yielding at max load. So benchmark gives you a little over 2,000 feet per second, CFE 223, 2302, H335, 2131, Varget 2235, right? This is kind of typical max load data. I believe this was a 24-inch barrel they were testing here. My 160 grain FTX load averaged 2,453 feet per second. So that's at least a couple hundred feet per second more than what these other powders are yielding.
Yeah, and it's that difference with that high muzzle velocity plus the slipperier, higher BC bullet. That's what takes the 30-30 out there and extends its range considerably for hunting.
Yeah, that's really, really good stuff. So under the microscope, we used some data, I think it was from the 8133 story, and basically substituted our ball powder, which I believe was Ramshot Magnum in that case.
I think so.
So this is basically the same comparison, but we put LEVERevolution in place of the Ramshot Magnum. And you're going to see a consistent comparison here, 23 thousandths of an inch diameter, and then Varget, Retumbo, and 8133 are larger, extruded powders of various diameters and lengths, but this just shows you how much different these spherical powders are, and in some ways it's a trade-off with reloading on a progressive. It does tend to meter very consistently, and it doesn't bridge, which is a good thing. But if you have excessive lube around your case necks, you can have a tendency for that powder to stick to it, even maybe a little bit more than an extruded powder like Varget.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That tiny size explains exactly why it flows through so well through the powder measures.
Yes, and a lot of people with rifle ammunition are putting it through a press or a case prep center and then a press in 2 stages. You get it lubed, you size it, you trim it, you wash all that off, prime, powder charge, seat, and optionally crimp. So there's a bunch of different ways that you can do this, but the spherical powders are definitely nice. So in conclusion, LEVERevolution, it's a spherical powder. It's great for a variety of loading applications. Burn rate is near 308 and excellent velocity. I believe that Hodgdon and Hornady must have worked closely on this. Let's get something that with just the right burn rate for 30-30.
Yeah.
Let's get something that's going to burn perfectly efficiently to use all of that energy. And we haven't observed any pressure signs either.
No, it has been wonderful. I think that we're just fine using those max loads.
Yeah.
Those max loads published in the book. Yeah.
No problems whatsoever. Now, limitations, this is not a one-size-fits-all deal, right?
No, it's not. It's listed in Hodgdon's manual for several different cartridges, none of which are typical bolt-action cartridges. No, they're all lever, and that's why the name LEVERevolution.
Yep, absolutely. It's a fit name for this particular powder and what we've seen with it. Best for 30-30 and similar. Yeah. So I don't think we're done with this powder.
No, we might need to get some more.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I intend on loading up my 30-30 with it, and got that dough tag to fill. Get some back straps in the freezer.
Yeah, absolutely. So here's what we want to know is, what are you loading with for 30-30? What kind of powder, what kind of bullets, what are you shooting it out of? And if you're using LEVERevolution, what kind of results have you gotten? Have you gotten 200 plus feet per second increase in performance like we've seen? Drop a comment and we'll start a discussion. Thank you, Guy, for another great piece of research and working this through with me and loading up stuff. This has been a lot of fun.
It has been, and you're very welcome. I enjoy these opportunities to work with the lever guns.
Yep. Second question for you all. What other powders are you interested in us doing tested stories on? Again, drop a comment and we'll start a discussion. That concludes this video, and that means it's time to wrap it up. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up. Also, make your voice heard. If you have something to say, please drop a comment. Make sure you're subscribed with notifications because you're not going to want to miss the awesome content that is coming up. And finally, flex your reloading pride. You could look great in one of these t-shirts. We've got multiple designs at the Ultimate Reloader store. I'll see you later because I'm off to go shooting.